Hello, Garen Griffiths here, outreach worker for All Wales People First. This is the final part of when I interviewed Joe on what's on his radar. In part two, we talked about out of the day centres that were closing, members not being employment because of the lack of opportunities. And when Joe talked a little bit about when he went to that event, it says on the video last week, it wasn't last week, it was a few weeks ago, with Policy Insight Wales. And this now is the final part of Joe's radar, so now you're up to date.
Yeah, well, I think the great thing with the strategy is it closed the institutions, it got people into other living settings. Now, some people would argue that we just recreated new institutions, and that's probably true. I think they're better institutions, but they're true. So there's a lot of success of the Orwell strategy. It recognized the fact that a learning disability is not a mental health condition. But I never thought in a million years when I started my job, being somebody who came from individual budgets and which worked really well for me, I thought I'd be somebody who could promote that and promote my own story as a way of other people having a different way of living their lives. I never thought that I'd be outside the steps of the Senate with stolen lives, shouting out about the institutions being restarted. And that to me just says everything. We are going backwards. We're slowly going backwards.
I spoke to the organizer of the Stolen Life protest, and I was saying, like, because it was a huge, massive turnout, and it was great to see so many people there. But again, she gave a really good argument, and that was, yes, it was a good turnout, but this shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be here in the first place. But protesting this, the Welsh government should have the common sense, like saying, this is wrong. This should not be happening in this day and age. But unfortunately, it is.
It's frustrating as well because not only should it not be happening, but all the representations have been made outside of the protest. Ourselves and other learning disability organisations in Wales have made the case several times. We've written to the government, to local authorities, to healthcare providers, and it's just a real shame that it takes a demonstration to kind of to make something happen. We have met with the minister. I met with the minister and some of our consortium partners in Stolen Lives after that, and it seemed to be a very positive meeting about changing things. But we can't take it for granted. We can't rest on our laurels, that everything's going to be fixed or put forward. I think there could still be a big fight to come, and we're just going to have to keep pushing and pushing. But it really is the thin end of the wedge when we start institutionalizing people because the services they're entitled to can't be provided.
And you have made some really clear points, so I'm glad that it is on your radar, and I am glad that you are on these consortium, different disability groups, for actually making sure that we do nothing gets lost in sort of language or interpretation, and that the important issues that all Wales are dealing with. And it's great to see that, because I know you give your Joe soapbox and your sort of feedback into the Adfest, the AGM, National Council, but it's really great for CETA members. Yeah, okay, Joe's saying this and that, this and that, but it's great to see that you are actually practicing what you preach, and that you are on these groups, and that you are putting the members' voice first before anything else.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I say about self-advocacy is one of the negatives about self-advocacy is just because you speak up doesn't mean things change. And sometimes you've got to be in this for the long haul and to keep going. But the alternative is you say nothing and then nothing ever changes. So we have to think of ourselves as any other rights movement. And part of that is you continue to fight and fight for your rights. And even when you get your rights, you've got to fight to keep your rights and to keep them going. And unfortunately, as times are getting tough, as money's tightening, there's more likely to be more challenges during this political time than any other. I mean, I've never known times like this in my lifetime, and it all coincides with when society becomes sick.